The first thing Monique noticed when she opened the app on her phone was the timestamp. 9:47 a.m. She had left for work at 8:30 that morning, kissed Marcus goodbye like she did every day, and told him she loved him. He had smiled at her, that same warm smile she'd fallen for 6 years ago, and said he'd see her tonight. She'd walked out the door with her travel mug in hand, believing she had a normal, happy marriage. Now, sitting in her car in the parking garage at 3 p.m. after a client meeting got canceled, she was scrolling through the nanny cam footage out of sheer boredom. At 9:47 a.m., the bedroom door opened. Marcus walked in, but he wasn't alone. A woman followed him. A white woman with long blonde hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail, wearing a fitted green blouse and dark jeans. A woman who was laughing softly at something Marcus had said. A woman who reached for Marcus's hand and pulled him toward the bed. Their bed. Monique's hand started shaking so badly she nearly dropped her phone. She wanted to stop watching, wanted to close the app and pretend she'd never seen it. But she couldn't. She sat frozen in her car, watching her husband kiss another woman, watching him unbutton that green blouse, watching him lay this stranger down on their bed. The footage was clear, too clear. Monique watched for 23 minutes. 23 minutes that annihilated her entire world. When it was over, when Marcus and the woman got dressed and left the bedroom, Monique finally moved. She gasped for air like she'd been drowning. Her chest hurt. Her stomach hurt. Everything hurt. She wanted to scream. She wanted to drive home right now and confront him. But instead, she sat in her car and cried silently for 10 minutes. Then she stopped crying. She wiped her face. She fixed her makeup using the mirror on her visor, and she went back to scrolling through the footage. She went back 1 week. Same thing. 9:52 a.m. Marcus and the same white woman in their bedroom. 2 weeks back. Again. Same woman, same bed. Monique went back through 2 months of footage. It happened every single week, sometimes twice a week, always in the morning after Monique left for work. Always the same white woman. She felt sick. Her phone buzzed with a text message from Marcus. "Hey babe, what do you want for dinner tonight? I can pick up some tacos on my way home. Love you." The words made her want to hurl her phone across the garage. How dare he act like everything was normal? Her hands moved across the screen before her brain could catch up. She typed back, "Anything is fine. Love you too." She hit send and immediately felt disgusted with herself. But she couldn't let him know that she knew. Not yet. She needed time to think, time to plan. Monique sat in her car for another 30 minutes thinking. She was a smart woman. She had a successful career in property management. She made good money. She was independent and strong. But right now, she felt broken. She felt stupid for not seeing this coming. Had there been signs? Was she not enough for him? No. She stopped that thought immediately. This wasn't her fault. She had been a good wife. She had loved him, supported him, trusted him. She had done nothing wrong. This was all on Marcus. He was the one who chose to cheat. He was the one who chose to betray her. And he would pay for it. She was not going to be the crying, broken black woman who begged her husband to stay. She was not going to be the fool who forgave him and took him back. She was going to be the one who came out on top. Monique started her car and drove home. When she walked through the door at 5:30 p.m., Marcus was in the kitchen making dinner. He smiled at her like he always did, came over and kissed her cheek like he always did, asked about her day like he always did, and she smiled back, kissed him back, told him about her day like she always did. But inside, she was already gone. Inside, she was already planning. Inside, she was already 3 steps ahead of him. Marcus had no idea what was coming. Monique called in sick to work the next morning. She never called in sick. But today, she needed time. Marcus left for work at his usual time, 8:15 a.m. He kissed her forehead and told her to feel better. She watched him walk out the door and waited until she heard his truck pull out of the driveway. Then she got up, made herself coffee, and opened her laptop. First, she downloaded every single video file from the nanny cam system for the past 6 months. It took 3 hours. but she got it all. She saved everything to an external hard drive, then made 2 backup copies. While the files downloaded, she went through their shared computer. She found his email still logged in. She spent an hour reading through months of messages. Then she found a separate folder labeled projects. When she opened it, there were dozens of emails to and from someone named Brittany. Brittany. So that was her name. The white woman in the green blouse. The woman who'd been in Monique's bed. The woman who'd been sleeping with Monique's husband for months. The emails made Monique's stomach turn. Marcus and Brittany talked about everything. Their feelings for each other. How much they missed each other. How they wished they could be together all the time, but Marcus was working on leaving his wife. That line made Monique laugh bitterly. Working on leaving his wife. He'd never said a single word to her about being unhappy. She kept reading. Brittany knew Marcus was married. She knew everything and she didn't care. In fact, some of her messages suggested she enjoyed the thrill of being with a married black man. She called Monique the wife, like she was just an obstacle. Monique screenshotted every single email. She saved them all to the external hard drive with the videos. Then she went through Marcus's text messages. He deleted most of them, but she had a recovery program. She ran it and recovered hundreds of deleted texts between Marcus and Brittany. More evidence, more lies, more betrayal. By noon, Monique had a complete digital file of Marcus's affair. She had everything she needed, but she still didn't confront him. Not yet. Instead, she spent the afternoon researching. She looked up the laws in Texas about adultery and divorce. She learned about asset division and how fault could impact settlements. She made a list of everything she owned before the marriage. The house was in her name only because she'd bought it 3 years before she met Marcus. Her car was paid off and in her name. Most of their savings had come from an inheritance she'd received from her grandfather. Marcus had contributed some money over the years, but not much. She'd always been the responsible one. The more she researched, the more she realized Marcus didn't have much ground to stand on. She had been the primary breadwinner. She owned the house. She had put away most of their savings. And now she had proof that he'd been cheating for months. 2 weeks after discovering the affair, Monique went to the bank. She opened a new checking account in only her name at a different bank across town. She also started quietly removing things from the house. Nothing Marcus would notice right away. Her grandfather's watch, the photo albums from her childhood, important documents. She'd take them to work in her bag and store them in her office. Slowly, carefully, she was preparing for the day she'd leave it all behind. Marcus never noticed. He was too busy sneaking around with Brittany to pay attention to his wife. He'd stopped really looking at Monique months ago. She'd become background noise in his life, someone he took for granted. That was his biggest mistake. On a Thursday afternoon, exactly 3 weeks after she'd first discovered the affair, Monique was at work when her assistant buzzed her. "There's someone here to see you. Her name is Brittany." Monique's heart stopped. Brittany was here at her office. "Send her in," Monique said calmly. A minute later, the woman from the videos walked into Monique's office. She was taller than Monique had expected, maybe 5'8", with that same blonde ponytail and pale skin that seemed to glow against Monique's deep brown complexion. She looked nervous. "Hi," Brittany said. "Are you Monique?" "I am," Monique replied. "Can I help you?" Brittany closed the door behind her and sat down. "I think we need to talk about Marcus." Monique kept her face neutral. "I'm sorry, do I know you?" "I'm someone Marcus has been seeing." Brittany looked down at her hands. "I didn't know he was married when we started. He told me he was separated, but then I found out the truth a few weeks ago." Monique wanted to call her a liar. The emails proved Brittany knew from the beginning, but she stayed quiet. "I feel terrible about it," Brittany continued. "I wanted you to know. You deserve to know what kind of man you're married to." Still, Monique said nothing. She just stared at Brittany, watching her squirm. Finally, Brittany stood up. "I'm ending it with him. I just thought you should know the truth."
"I'm sorry."
She walked toward the door. "Brittany," Monique said quietly. The woman turned around. "I already knew. I've known for weeks. And those emails you sent him where you talked about how exciting it was to sleep with a married man, I have those too." Brittany's face went white. "Get out of my office," Monique said calmly. "And stay away from my husband. I'm handling this my way." Brittany practically ran out the door. That evening, Monique went home and kissed Marcus hello, like always. She didn't mention Brittany's visit. She just smiled and asked what he wanted for dinner. And Marcus, oblivious as ever, never suspected a thing. The law office of Reynolds and Garcia sat on the 20th floor of a downtown Austin building. Monique had done her research carefully before choosing this firm. They had a reputation for being aggressive and thorough. Monique told Marcus she had a client meeting that would take most of a day. It wasn't technically a lie. She was meeting with the divorce attorney. The receptionist led her to a conference room where a woman in her 50s with short dark hair and sharp eyes was waiting. "Mrs. Monique Carter? I'm Diana Reynolds. Please have a seat." They shook hands and Monique sat down, placing the external hard drive on the table. "Thank you for seeing me on short notice. Your email mentioned you needed a divorce attorney and that you had documentation of adultery." Diana opened a leather portfolio. "Why don't you start from the beginning?" Monique told her everything. About discovering the nanny cam footage, about the emails and text messages, about Brittany, about the months of lies. Diana listened without interrupting. When Monique finished, Diana looked up. "Do you want to reconcile with your husband?" "Absolutely not," Monique said firmly. "I want a divorce. I want it to be final and clean, and I want him to get as little as possible." Diana smiled slightly. "Good. Clients who are certain make my job easier. Now, let's talk about assets. You mentioned the house is in your name only." "Yes. I bought it 3 years before we got married. I've paid the mortgage the entire time. Marcus has never contributed." "Excellent. In Texas, property owned before the marriage typically remains separate property." "What about vehicles?" "My car is paid off and in my name. His truck is also paid off. Savings, investments, retirement accounts." Monique pulled out bank statements. "We have a joint savings account with about $45,000 in it. Most of that came from my inheritance. I have documentation. I also have a retirement account worth about $80,000. Marcus has a small 401k, maybe $15,000. Diana reviewed the statements. "With proof that the savings came from your inheritance, we can argue that it's separate property. At minimum, you'd get the majority of it." "What does your husband do?" "He's a sales associate. Makes about $45,000 a year. I make around $95,000 plus bonuses." "So you've been the primary earner?" "Yes. And the affair has been going on for at least 6 months. "At least." Diana set down her pen. "Here's my assessment. You're in a very strong position. The house is yours. The bulk of the savings is yours. You out-earn him significantly, and you have extensive proof of his adultery, which in Texas can impact the division of assets. What that means is that not only will you keep what's rightfully yours, but Marcus will have no grounds to claim alimony. He'll be lucky to walk away with his truck and his 401k. "What about the joint savings account? Can he clean it out before I file?" "He could try, which is why I recommend we move quickly. Today, I want you to go withdraw half of that joint account and put it in a separate account in only your name. It's not illegal. It's protecting your interest. Then we'll file the divorce papers within the next 2 weeks." 2 weeks. Monique felt a flutter of panic. That's so fast. It needs to be. The longer you wait, the more opportunity he has to hide assets. You've done your homework. You have your evidence. Now we need to act on it. Diana leaned forward. "I also recommend changing your direct deposit for your paycheck. You said you have a new account already." "Yes." "Good. Change your direct deposit to that account today. Don't tell Marcus. Any money you earn from this point forward is yours." "One more thing," Diana said. "You mentioned the other woman's name is Brittany. Do you know where she works?" "Her last name is Evans. She works at Hill Country Insurance. It's one of those companies that's big on family values." Diana made a note. "Perfect. Companies like that tend to have morality clauses in their employment contracts. If they found out an employee was knowingly involved with a married man, especially if there's proof, they might terminate her employment." "You want me to tell her employer?" "I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm simply informing you that it's an option." Some clients find it therapeutic. They spend another hour going over paperwork. Diana's retainer was $6,000. Monique wrote the check without hesitation. As she left the office, Monique felt different, lighter somehow. She went straight to the bank and withdrew $22,500 from the joint account, depositing it into her new account. Then she went to her office and changed her direct deposit information. Over the next 2 weeks, Monique continued her preparations. She transferred more of her personal items out of the house. She made copies of all their important documents. She reviewed every piece of evidence she'd collected, making sure it was organized for Diana. She also drafted an anonymous email to Brittany's employer with screenshots of emails where Brittany acknowledged Marcus's marriage.
She didn't send it yet.
That would come later. Marcus remained oblivious. He came home every day, kissed Monique hello, ate the dinner she made, watched TV, and went to bed. He kept up his routine with Brittany every Tuesday and Thursday. He kept lying to Monique's face, telling her he loved her. He was so confident he'd never get caught. That confidence was about to be shattered. On the Sunday before her final meeting with Diana, Monique stood in her kitchen making coffee. She heard Marcus coming down the stairs and pasted on a smile. "Good morning. Want some coffee?" "Yeah, thanks, babe," he said, kissing her cheek.
What do you want to do today?
"I was thinking we could just relax at home," Monique said. "Sounds perfect." Marcus settled on the couch. Monique looked at him, knowing these were some of the last normal moments they'd have together. By this time next week, everything would be different. He'd know that she knew. He'd know that he'd lost. Monday morning came. Monique woke up before Marcus, showered, and dressed in her favorite black pantsuit that complemented her brown skin perfectly. By the time Marcus stumbled into the kitchen, she was ready.
You look nice, he said.
"Big meeting today?" "Just the usual client stuff," she lied. She kissed him goodbye at 8:30 and drove to Diana's office. This time, she brought 3 copies of everything. All the videos on USB drives, all the emails and texts printed in binders, her financial documents. They spent 3 hours going through every detail. "This is one of the most well-documented cases I've seen," Diana said. "He won't have a leg to stand on." "When do we file?" Monique asked. "I'll have the papers drawn up by Wednesday. We can file them on Thursday. The question is, how do you want him served? We can have a process server go to his workplace or to the house."
Monique thought about it.
"I want to be there. I want to see his face. Then I suggest we do it at the house. We can schedule it for Saturday at 10 a.m. and you can have your locks changed immediately afterward. I'll give you the contact information for a locksmith." They worked out the details. Service would happen on Saturday morning. Diana would be present along with the process server. Monique would have a locksmith ready. "What should I do this week?" Monique asked. "Act normal. Don't give him any reason to suspect something's wrong." 5 days. She could make it 5 more days. The next few days passed slowly. Tuesday and Thursday came, and as expected, Marcus brought Brittany over while Monique was at work. She watched the footage on her phone, feeling detached now. These videos used to make her cry. Now, they just made her impatient. On Friday night, Marcus suggested they go out for drinks. Monique agreed. One last normal night. They went to a bar downtown. Monique nursed a single drink while Marcus had several beers. They got home around midnight. Marcus passed out on the bed. Monique set a glass of water on his nightstand. Even now, even knowing what he'd done, she couldn't help but take care of him out of habit. But after tomorrow, that would be his problem. She woke up early on Saturday morning. This was it. The day everything changed. Marcus was still asleep. She got up quietly, showered, and dressed in jeans and a t-shirt. She made coffee and sat at the kitchen table. Diana had texted, "We're on schedule for 10 a.m.
See you soon."
Monique replied, ready. Marcus woke up around 9 o'clock and came downstairs yawning.
"Morning."
"You're up early." "Couldn't sleep?" She said truthfully, "Not really." "Want to do something today?" "Let's just hang out here for a bit," Monique said. "Okay." He made breakfast and turned on the TV. Monique sat next to him, watching the clock. 9:15, 9:30, 9:45. At 9:55, she heard a car pull into the driveway. Then another. Her heart pounded. "Are you expecting someone?" Marcus asked. "Yes," Monique said quietly. The doorbell rang. Marcus got up to answer it, and Monique followed. When he opened the door, 3 people stood on the porch. Diana in a gray suit, a man holding a manila envelope, and a woman with kind eyes. "Marcus Turner?" the man asked. "Yeah, you've been served." The man handed him the envelope. "Have a good day." Marcus stood frozen. Then he looked at Diana, then at Monique. "What is this?" "Those are divorce papers," Monique said calmly. "You should read them." "Divorce?" "Monique, what are you talking about?" "I know about Brittany. I know about everything. I've known for a month." Marcus's face went white. "The nanny cam," Monique said. "I saw everything. Every time you brought her here. Every lie you told me." "Monique, please. Let me explain." "I don't want to hear it." She kept her voice steady, even though her hands were shaking. "You have 24 hours to get your things and leave. This house is mine. I'm changing the locks today. You can't just kick me out. I live here." Diana stepped forward. "Actually, she can. The house is in her name only. You have no legal claim to it. My card is in the envelope." Marcus looked at the envelope like it was a bomb. Then he looked at Monique with tears in his eyes. "Babe, please. I made a mistake. I'll end things with her. Please don't do this." Monique felt a twist in her chest, but she pushed it away. "You didn't make a mistake, Marcus. You made a choice. Every Tuesday and Thursday for months. You chose to betray me, to bring another woman into my home. And not just any woman, a white woman. Over and over again. You chose her. And now I'm choosing to be done with you. You need to leave by tomorrow at 10 a.m. That's non-negotiable." Marcus's expression changed from pleading to angry.
Fine.
"If that's how you want it." He threw the envelope on the floor and stormed upstairs. Marcus came downstairs 45 minutes later with 2 suitcases and a box of his things. His eyes were red. "I'll be back tomorrow to get the rest," he said coldly. "I'll be here," Monique replied. He walked out without another word. They heard his truck start and drive away. Diana hung up her phone. "Locksmith will be here in 20 minutes. You did well, Monique." As Monique watched the locksmith change every lock on her doors an hour later, she felt the first tiny flutter of relief. Her home was hers again. It was over. The next morning, Monique woke up alone in her bed for the first time in years. She got up, made coffee, and sat on her back patio watching the sunrise. This was her life now. Just hers. Marcus came back at 10 a.m. with his brother to help him move. Monique let them in and stayed in the kitchen while they hauled boxes out. When they finished, Marcus came to the kitchen doorway. He looked terrible.
"Can we talk?" "No."
"Anything you need to say can go through my lawyer. I just want you to know I'm sorry. But you did hurt me. You made that choice. It wasn't supposed to mean anything. It was just I got stupid." "You got selfish," Monique corrected. "And you got stupid with a white woman. But that's not my problem anymore. Goodbye, Marcus." He turned and left. Monique heard the front door close and his truck pull away. She walked through the house. He was gone. Really, truly gone. She spent the rest of Sunday cleaning, erasing Marcus from her space. It felt good. It felt therapeutic. On Monday, she went back to work. She had a major commercial property deal closing that week. The commission would be nearly $50,000. She'd been timing it carefully, waiting for the perfect moment to close it. The deal closed on Wednesday. $53,000 would be deposited into her account within a week. Money that was entirely hers. Money Marcus would never touch. Her boss called her into his office after the deal closed. "Monique, I'd like to offer you a promotion to senior property manager and team lead. It comes with a salary increase." Monique felt tears prick her eyes. "Really? Really? You've earned it." Her new salary would be $120,000 a year. As she left his office, Monique felt like she was walking on air. Everything was falling into place. The next week, her lawyer called. Marcus had hired an attorney and was trying to fight the divorce terms. He wanted half the savings. "Let him try," Diana said. We have proof that 90% came from your inheritance. No judge will give him what he wants." After Diana sent Marcus's lawyer the evidence, the tone changed quickly. Marcus's attorney called. "My client is willing to settle. He'll accept $12,000 from the joint savings, his 401k, his truck, and his personal property. He'll waive any claim to the house or spousal support. It's a good offer. This way, you can be done with him quickly."
Monique thought about it.
"Let's take it. I want this over." The settlement was signed within a week. The divorce would be final in 60 days. During this time, she hadn't forgotten about Brittany. One evening, she pulled up the draft email she'd prepared and hit send. It was anonymous, sent from a newly created account. It stated that an employee named Brittany Evans had been engaged in an ongoing affair with a married man and included screenshots. 3 days later, she ran into David, Marcus's former coworker, at a coffee shop.
"Hey, Monique.
I heard about you and Marcus."
I'm really sorry."
"Thanks. It's for the best.
"Yeah.
Especially after everything with that Brittany woman." Monique's ears perked up. "What about her?" "She got fired. Something about an ethics violation." Monique nodded. After David left, she sat with a small smile. Brittany had lost her job. Monique didn't feel guilty. Brittany had made her own choices. That weekend, she did something she'd wanted to do for years. She adopted a dog from the local shelter, a 2-year-old Labrador mix named Buddy. Marcus had always said he didn't want pets. But now Monique could do whatever she wanted. Buddy curled up on the couch next to her that first night, and Monique felt more contentment than she'd felt in months. This was her life now. Her house, her dog, her job, her future. And it was going to be wonderful